Dr. Akimoto always knows what he's talking about, and he's usually not afraid to tell you what's going on. So, with no further ado, good afternoon, Doc.
Hi, good afternoon, Doctor. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm in my car.
I can hear you 5 by 5, Doc.
We're really happy you're on the air as well, telling the truth and reading that story about the above step hiring of a PIO and the priorities that our board of trustee member apparently has in regards to how to fix the hospital. Apparently, it's all about optics, convincing both the staff that they have nothing to be demoralized about, and that the patients that are in the hospital have nothing to worry about, that everything's fine, which I think that's what they told the people on the Titanic as it hit the iceberg. So I agree with you. I think the lady who was applying for the job to be on the board of trustees probably should stay home. I don't think we need board members who are going to ignore the plainly, really just corrupt, disingenuous, demoralizing. I'm going to run out of words, but it is terrible that a board member would defend that kind of malevolent behavior of trying to bring in a non-clinical staff member so high above step at $161,000 a year, when just several months ago our nurses at the hospital were denied a pay raise because apparently there wasn't enough money to pay these nurses, who everybody has acknowledged has been heroic throughout the pandemic. The traveling nurses who have come here have, been singing their praises. They say that our nurses are the best, and the traveling nurses would know because they're getting paid $225 an hour to come out and say it. The Guam Memorial Hospital's priorities, just so that the people of Guam can be clear, are wrong. They're fraudulent. We thought that after Bob Klitsky had served as senator in the Guam legislature, that corruption would be dead. I mean, I think you've even served as a police officer in the past. So we thought law and order was going to stand and be the rule of the day, but it does look like corruption in the government of Guam is alive and well, and it's sitting right on top of the Guam Memorial Hospital. If corruption was a Pokemon, that Pokemon is sitting right on top of the Guam Memorial Hospital, and it looks like everyone who's in the board is celebrating that fact by hiring people above step in non-clinical behavior. So the PIO is just one of several that apparently have now come to light, to the extent that Therese Terlai, as a speaker, has decided to have a special day where we can all talk about them. I guess in the next 7 business days, there's going to be a legislative oversight on above-step hiring at GMH. So this is not over. In fact, this is just getting started. I really wish the hospital administrator had decided to prioritize something else so that we could be worrying about, medical supplies in light of the fact that it's almost Christmas and we usually run out of medical supplies at Christmas. Maybe hiring local nurses or more nurses because we don't have enough nurses at the hospital. But instead, our hospital board members and our hospital administrator have decided to prioritize above-step hiring of non-clinical administrative staff. So we get to do that. And that's probably not going to improve healthcare, but it'll make for really great radio. So I love being the leadoff for this whole banter. For me, this is something I'm good at, which is criticizing government corruption. I feel like I'm good at it, but I can learn from the best, from Senator Klitsky. My only question, sir, is, how does it feel after putting in so much effort to try to train your fellow policymakers on how to run a government the right way, for the people, by the people. And now it's turned upside down, and it has been corrupted from within to the point where the senators sitting there and the people that are working in the government of Guam and at the hospital have been exposed as rotten to the core. I mean, all they care about apparently is money and stuffing the pockets of their friends with money. I mean, this feels like the 70s. This feels like the 80s all over again. How do you feel as someone who has championed good government, and what can I do to make you feel better?
Well, I think you probably already have. You fluffed up my ego as though it was ever necessary to fluff up my ego. You know how proud I am of my humility. But thanks for your kind words, Vince. But
Stay fluffy, my friend. Stay
I'll do it.
fluffy.
I'll do it. I'm really glad you called, and keep us informed on what's going on, okay?
Hey, you didn't answer my question.
Well, I thank you for giving me that gigantic ego fluff this afternoon. I have to go beyond that?
Well, a little bit more. I mean, you're welcome, but we really want to know, how do we regroup and rebound? We thought we had government corruption under control. We thought that this new legislature and governor were going to, be, I don't know, what's the word? Be competent, be non-corrupt. What's the word for non-corrupt?
Honest.
Yeah, honest. Yeah, we haven't used that word for such a long time. But this is dishonest, isn't it? It's dishonest to say that a PIO is essential.
Yeah.
It's dishonest to say that the PIO is the most important thing that the Guam Memorial Hospital needs right now. It's not a lie. It's a distruth. So how do we regroup? Because we thought we were making some positive changes, but
well, let me take a crack.
We're wrong.
Let me take a crack at that. And this is it, Vince. There are an awful lot of people that live on our island that are content with just being spectators.
Okay, that's a pregnant pause.
Yeah, well, because
Big finish.
it sounded like someone was trying to jam the station. Yeah, an awful lot of people are content just to be spectators, even when they don't like the show that they're watching or the game that they're watching. They're just not interested in actually doing something. And the way a community keeps itself on the right track is that if everybody in the community actively says, hey, we're not going to put up with that. We have to have good people on boards. Boards have to do a good job, etc. So as long as we have an acquiescent public, then it's going to be a hard fight. It's not something that any man or any woman or any person can do. It requires a sense of community involvement, Vince, in order to get the train back on the track.
I think I get your point. All politics are local, and it's all personal. But, Your Honor, I have to point out to you just one really glaring fact. We're in a state of emergency, a public health state of emergency, and the place of last resort is the Guam Memorial Hospital, the place where people are going to die, where they're going to get oxygen, where it's required for the place to be clean so they don't catch, some sort of MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, so they don't get contaminated. This is the place we're talking about.
Yeah. So in order for our hospital governance to deal with a state of emergency, we've got to have someone who can tell the story in a way that's not embarrassing, right, Vince?
No. I mean, again, I think they got so much, I guess, love and so much free food over the pandemic, they started to believe that they were untouchable, that they were incorruptible, that every decision they made was in the best interest of the most important people, which apparently is themselves at this point. So I think I agree with you that it will matter when it matters, but I'm pretty sure it matters because there are still going to be more people dying of COVID at GMH and of heart attacks and of strokes. So I know what you were trying to say. I'm going to suggest that it's going to be a little deeper than that. I think there's something is rewarding our community for tolerating this corruption. There's a deep